back. Sorry about that. We're having a bit of technical difficulties. You know, technology is so unreliable. But we're going to take it right on back to Lisa, where she's going to show us how to upcycle a picture frame to this really cool memo board. So how's it going, Lisa? You going to show us what to do again?
Good. We're going to jump right back in. If you're just joining us, what we're doing, we're taking a large frame that we found in a thrift store, and we took it apart so that we have the glass and the paper separate. And you want to save the glass because that's going to be important later. So we're just going to paint our frame here, and I'm going to use this gorgeous summery blue color. It's a country chic paint, and I was saying just before we got cut off that this country chic paint, if you use this paint, just a heads up, lots of times when you open it, it'll come separated, and that's because it's made in Canada, and it's actually made to withstand the cold here. So you just have to give it a couple of stirs, and you are good to go. So I'm just gonna paint up my board. And this is a perfect project with graduation season coming upon us, and weddings, anything that you wanna put some really pretty pictures on, or memos, mementos, anything like that.
And also for today, just for everyone who's tuning back in, we're going to have an awesome giveaway for today, just as always. Today's question is going to be, who would you make this for and why? So tell us in the comments, and the best one gets an awesome tote bag from us.
And we would love to know where you would use this. This is so versatile. You can use it so many different places, which is really cool. So I'm just going to flip it over here and give it a little color on the back. Whoops. And this is a technique painting that I've used most of the DIYs I've done with you. It's called dry brushing, so I'm just putting a really little bit of paint on the brush, but because the color is so beautiful and saturated, it really hardly needs any paint. You get this really pretty color.
Yes, a really nice color. You know, it's like very springy, very pastel-y, so it's a wonderful color for spring.
This would be a perfect color if you had like a coastal theme or going on in your house. It would be so pretty. Okay, so we took our glass here. We're just going to put this aside. We're going to put our frame aside here for a few minutes. And I'm just going to paint the edge here. I don't care if this is really painted too well because I like that kind of old rusticy look. So I just want to add enough color that it looks like it's got some paint on it. Maybe some old chippy paint or something like that on it. So, okay, so I'm going to leave the cardboard under just so you can see my glass right now. And I've got the glass from the frame, and I'm not going to do anything to the glass. I don't have to do anything to it. I don't have to clean it or anything. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to take some of this burlap. And this burlap, you can find like Hobby Lobby. You can find it at Joanne Crafts. If you're in Canada, they've got it at Michael's, Fabricland, places like that. So, and it's pretty inexpensive. It's not very expensive to pick up. You can usually buy it off the bolt. So, and I'm just going to cut a piece. You can see here, I'm just going to cut it a little bit larger than what my glass is. I just want to have enough to work with, so.
Yeah, that's a good note, because I know that whenever I craft anything, I always make it too small, and then I don't have enough room to work with, and I just end up having to buy extra of everything.
Exactly. So I'm going to cut it a little bit bigger. I'll trim it down later, but I definitely don't want to run out. So, and I'm going to take the cardboard here. I'm just going to set that aside. So I've got my piece of burlap, and I've got my piece of glass here. I'm going to turn them sideways. Now, to make the background of our memo board, we're actually going to use the glass to hold the burlap tight against the frame. So I'm going to use some of this tacky spray, and it's just an adhesive spray. And I'm going to cover both the burlap and the glass with this. This tacky spray can be permanent or just like a temporary thing, but I want to use it as a permanent spray. So I'm going to spray. I'm just going to spray all over the burlap here. And this spray, this adhesive glue spray, you can pick this up the same anywhere. This is at any craft store.
And Dora King says that she would make this for herself because it's a really great way for her to organize and put notes all over, so she's not, forgetting important things to do.
Good idea. That's perfect. Yeah, there's so many things you can do with this. That's why I love making these. So once you have your glue on, I'm not sure if you can kind of see that there in the camera, but it does have a bit of a, almost like a milky color to it with the glue. And if you touch the glue, it'll be really sticky. So we're just gonna leave it for a minute. And what I'm gonna, so I've put glue on this side, on one side of the burlap, and I've put glue on one side of the glass. And I'm just gonna slide this over here. If you're just joining us, we're turning a large thrift store frame into a memo board. So we're just working on that, and we'd love to know where you're tuning in from and what you would make this for. Our Hometalk giveaway question for today is who you would make this for, and what you would use it for. So we'd love to know that. Okay, so the burlap is a bit tacky now because it's got the spray on this side, and I'm just going to place, I want to place the two glued sides together. So I'm just going to start, and this is where you want to have a little bit of wiggle room on your burlap in case you don't start it right. It ends up kind of going to the side. I'll turn it around here so you can see as it's going. I just start at one end and smooth it out as I'm going. And this spray adhesive glue, this is the one that we were using, makes the burlap completely stick to the glass. So it's a great way. You don't need anything other than just the frame and the glass, and then just your stuff to make the memo board.
That's really awesome. And you know, like fabric spray, the tacky spray is actually just a lot better than like Elmer's or E6000, because like with that you just make a mess all over the place, but with the tacky spray it's quick, it's clean, and it's so easy. Exactly. And this stuff is great. If you let it sit for anywhere up to about a minute before you actually stick the surfaces together, it will make a permanent bond. So you don't have to worry about this bubbling up or coming loose later. So you can see from the back here, I've got some extra around here, which is just fine. I would rather have extra, like I said, just in case you align it or you misalign it while you're putting it together like that. And for Kristen and all the people who are just joining us, we are going to be making a memo board today. And Lisa is making this really awesome, upcycled from a unused and pretty much just gaining just dust in her house old picture frame. So this is a really great way to transform something old to something new. Exactly. And like we said before too, these frames, you can find them everywhere for like $1 or $2 at garage sales, at thrift stores. They're really, people don't even know what to do with them. There's so many out there. So we've painted our frame, we're letting that dry, and we're working on the background to our memo board. So right now we've used some spray adhesive and we've stuck the burlap to the glass. So now that the burlap is stuck to the glass, I want to go around and just trim off that extra little bit around here. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It's going to be in the edge of the frame. So you just want to cut off that excess so that you don't have it. It'll make it too tight in the frame if there's a ton of excess around. So we're just going to cut that off. You can see here. And Rhonda Prince says that she would make this for her daughter because she's a teacher and it would help her to get all organized as well. I love that. That's cute. Yeah, we were saying before, this is such a great project. It would be perfect to have like at a wedding if you wanted to put photos on it of the bride and groom, or if you wanted to, with graduation coming up, to put all kinds of cute baby pictures of your grad on it, or of them growing up. So there's tons of things you can do with this. I have one hanging in my office area because I like to put reminder notes on it since I'm a little bit forgetful. So same, I'm Miss Forgetful, so this would help me to not like forget important things that I have to do. Exactly. Okay, so all I've done is trimmed off my excess burlap. And in case you missed it, we're just using like a roll of burlap. You can pick this up at any sort of craft store. And we glued it onto the glass from the frame. So there's our burlap, and you can see if you have any parts that are not sticking, like here is a little bit of a bump, so I'm just going to put a little spray adhesive in there, just lift it and put a little bit in. And then just give it a second and I'll stick it down again. And you could really do this
like to make the back this way, I love burlap. I love that kind of rustic, natural look. But you could use any kind of fabric you wanted. You could use wallpaper or wrapping paper. There's all kinds of things that you could use to make the back, like what's going to be the back of our memo board here. So.
And Terry wants to know, can you put pictures on it?
Absolutely. You could, and like to hang pictures or to, because you can actually transfer pictures onto the burlap if you wanted, but that's another story. But we're going to hang pictures on it in a minute. Okay, so we have our background here that's ready to go, and we have our frame, which is pretty much dry. So like I said before, I really like that rustic look, so I'm just going to give this a quick sand. I didn't put too much paint on it, so it's kind of already got that rusticy, worn look. I'm just going to smooth it down a bit here.
Nice. And also, if you guys are just tuning in, we also have a full tutorial being dropped below in the comment section, so you guys can do this for yourself.
Absolutely. If you miss any of the directions or you want to see pictures or go through it at your own pace, it is on the Hometalk website. So you can always check that out later if you want to see the step-by-step. So.
And also, for the sandpapering of the frame, how much do you sand it? Because I know I have a heavy hand, so if I was going to sand it, all of the paint would come off.
This one, I used a really fine grit sandpaper. If you're worried about that, if you don't want too much paint to come off, use a fine or an extra fine sandpaper. This one is actually super fine, so it just takes a little bit off. If you want to kind of go for that chippy, just paint coming off every which way, use a coarser sandpaper, it'll take more off. So, okay, so we've got our frame here. It's already dry, and that's the beauty of doing like the dry brush technique that I talked about. So now we need to kind of assemble our board. When you're putting your memo board together, we're going to put three jute. We're going to use the jute twine, and we're going to put 3 strings to hang pictures or notes on. So you kind of want to figure out where you want your strings. So you want one fairly close to the top because you want to hang stuff off, and then we're going to put one about partway, just a little bit above midway down, and then again down here. Don't put it too close to the bottom or you won't have any room to hang it off unless you're going to hang this on the wall. So, and we're going to make our lines to hold the pictures out of this jute twine here that I said. So you want to cut 3 pieces of your jute, and you want it to be larger than the width of the board. So I'm just going to cut 3 pieces here.
Ooh, Lisa, that dispenser is cute.
Thanks. I have to say it's very handy. Got little scissors in it even, so. And it's easier to get this off without the scissors. All right, so we've got our 3 pieces cut here. And you can attach these, you can attach them in 2 different ways. If you think that you want to adjust it and maybe move it around, you can tape them and just use some Scotch tape. Or if you want it to be permanent, you don't want to worry about them sliding or moving, you can use a little bit of glue. And I'm going to use the glue gun today. So this is about where I want mine to start. And if you're nervous about doing this and having it be permanent, the best way is to turn the little edges onto the back, and you can use some tape initially to hold them. So if I'm nervous about maybe the lines being straight or them not being where I want to be, this is a great way to start. So we've got our first one up here. We're going to add another one partway down, so maybe about here. And again, I'm just going to turn it onto its back there and tape these down. And the tape will do a great job holding this jute in place. So if that's all you want to do and you just want to leave it like that, that's not a problem too.
And have any of you guys done anything with the old frame in the comment section? Like, I'm wondering because there's just so many different options you could do. You could do a memo board, you can do a vision board, you can do even like a jewelry hanger with some old frames. So what have you guys done?
And if you followed along on any of my Hometalk lives, about maybe a month ago, we turned an old thrift store frame into a spring wreath. We hung it this way, and we turned it into, it was a smaller frame, but we turned it into a spring wreath. So, okay, so you can see we've got these all just taped, and we want to give it a look to make sure they're even. And then we're going to pop this back into the frame. So I'm going to turn my frame over. And if you trimmed your burlap, you shouldn't have any problem popping this back into the frame. That's why you don't want to leave too much of the burlap around the edges, because it'll make it too tight. I'm just making sure all the clips are up here. There we go. So we're going to turn this and take a look. If this is where you want your lines, make sure they're all even. There's nothing worse than crooked lines. So if you can tell, they look all straight, and you can see how the burlap looks now against that. So my frame that I picked up here has all of these little brads on it, so I'm just going to push them all down, and this will hold everything in place. And if you want to leave your jute just like this in case you want to reposition it later, you can. This will hold it in, and that will stay in place. I like to add a little glue to mine, just to make sure they don't move. The other thing you can do, if your frame had like a piece of cardboard, you can put the cardboard back in too, and that would hold those down as well.
And I'm also curious, because we are so tech savvy now, like, do people still use their memo boards, or do they use their phones for notes? Like, I feel like it's just so nice to have something like this because you made it yourself, so I would make more of an effort to use the memo board over opening an app on my phone.
Yeah.
Tell me what you guys do, app or memo board?
I agree. I actually, despite having a phone and using the phone all the time for everything, I actually still prefer to keep a memo board and an actual paper calendar. So when I'm blogging and things like that and all my appointments and meetings, I can just I do better writing them. So I'm curious too, like you, Ariel, to know whether people prefer putting everything in their phone now, or if they like to have the old-fashioned, write it down kind of method.
Gretchen says my phone, LOL.
Okay, so I've put a little bit of glue on each one of these, you can see. And this is just going to make sure, I like where my lines are, so I want them to stay there. And I'm just going to push this down a little. And I can leave it like that. So don't forget to tell us who you would make this for and why. Because when we finish up, we're going to, Ariel's going to announce a winner for a cool Hometalk tote. So be sure to do that. Okay, so we've got our frame and we've got our lines. So to finish this off, we're going to take some of these little clothespins. And again, these clothespins, you can pick them up Michael's, Hobby Lobby, places like that. And these are the perfect little things for a memo board this size to hang things off of. So the big clothespins would be a little big, but these cute little mini ones are perfect for hanging. So then you just finish off your memo board and put some of these little clips in there. Because we used the jute twine, it's nice and thin, so it actually fits right into the little tiny clothespins, and you're still able to attach something, because you can see there's a little hole there. So we'll put some of these on. That fits right in. I tried to make it one time, and I thought I'd do something cool and use a thicker twine, but it didn't clip as well. So I like the thin stuff.
And I'm seeing a lot of people say that they use both. They change between both. Like, I'm seeing like a very good amount of people saying that they like the memo board and also the apps in the phone.
Yeah, I do too, but I still think ultimately, I don't know, it is a toss-up. So like we said before too, this is a great project if you want to do something other than burlap on the back. You could do any kind of fabric or paper that you love on the back here, and you could totally change this up. You could change up the frame if you don't like this rustic look. You could make it really modern looking, and change it up to whatever you like. I like memo boards too, even to I have all these old letters from my grandparents and my great-grandparents So I just like to have them to put some of these out. So even more like a piece of art, if you just want to use it as a piece of art on your wall, that's a great idea too. So you can see, you can hang pictures.
Oh, it's cute.
One of my nephews. So you can hang all kinds of stuff, and that's it. It's really that easy to make, to turn like this old frame that we started with into this cool memo board, and then you can hang all your stuff on it. So be sure to let us know what you would make. Ariel's going to announce our winner in a minute. Again, we apologize for all the technical delays at the beginning, but there it is. We kept it nice and short so you know how to make this. And it's really easy project, and one that you could do with kids even. So
look at that. Awesome. And we also have our giveaway winner for today. Drum roll. Winner goes to Brandy M. Crawford. So you're going to get an awesome tote just from us over here at HQ in New York City. And thank you again for tuning in. And thank you, Lisa, for helping us with this awesome upcycle.
Absolutely. I'll see you back here in a couple of weeks. And we're going to make actually these little lavender bouquet. So I will see you back here in a couple of weeks.
Yes. So guys, tune in again at 5 p.m. Eastern to see how a pretzel container is going to be turned into a cute little planter. So see you guys then. Bye.